The pj-fleck-show is brought to you by Cub Foods and Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Minnesota. It's the pj-fleck-show with Hobie Artigue, Ron Johnson, and Justin Gaard. Let's row the boat.
It's a scary situation, and as a team, I think you really just come together and want what's best for Trey. And obviously, he was having a very successful season so far, but it's beyond that. It's about being a teammate, being a brother, and so any way we can be there for him in this time, and that's all that matters.
He brings a lot of energy to this team. We love him to death, and he's that guy for us. He's going to do it. He's going to be amazing for us this week.
We all know what he can do on the field, and for us, it's just putting him in good situations to be successful.
Welcome to another edition of the pj-fleck-show. After the Gophers just are coming off of their bye week, an eventful one to say the least for the University of Minnesota, but joined by Gophers head coach PJ Fleck, as well as former Gopher Ron Johnson and KFAN's Justin Gaard. I'm Hobie Artigue, and Coach, we have a lot to get into, but my first question to you, how did you and this team attack the bye week before entering this long stretch of conference play coming up?
And first of all, great to see everybody again. We practiced on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, had a walkthrough on Friday, and then gave the players Friday, Saturday, and then practiced on Sunday, and then got into our normal week here this week against Nebraska. Coaches got a chance to go out recruiting Thursday through Sunday, go see a lot of our commits, go see a lot of high school games, go see some guys we needed to answer some questions on. Very productive week.
Yeah, Coach, you got on the road to recruit, but if you're thinking about the virtual recruitment trips before, kids had to get a video in. How did it feel to actually get back, like you said, go to the high school games, actually get back out there, and like you said, check the boxes, be able to see these kids in person?
Yeah, nothing's better than a live evaluation. And, we feel like we've done a really good job of getting out this year to go see live evaluations of high school players. And the best thing about high school football is the $1 popcorn, the $1 hot dog. For $4.50 you get nachos and some jalapenos on there. For $5 you get a whole meal. So I have no shame eating on the sideline. So I love that about high school football. But we got a chance to go out there, see a bunch of players, and it was very productive.
We heard your players, PJ, talk off the top about Trey Potts. It was obviously a scary situation for him at Purdue, and I know he's back now and doing well. Maybe give us a quick update on how he's doing since he's gotten home and what you'll miss with him now missing the rest of the season.
Yeah, he's doing really good. Thanks for asking. And I know him and his family appreciate everybody's thoughts and prayers. And it was a really scary situation. I mean, there's no other way to describe it. We're not only coaches to these young men, but a lot of them were parents away from their parents. And, being a parent myself, anything happens to your child, no matter what it is, you completely go into that parent mode and that worry and then that anxiety. And that was no different with Trey. Trey's a special human being beyond being a great tailback. And it's unfortunate that it happened, but it did happen, and he's doing well, and he's recovering really nicely. But unfortunately, he's done for the year. But that's the last of our worries. We just want to make sure he's okay. And we've got other people to fill in, step up, and have great opportunities. This is an opportunity for somebody to step in there and really emerge. You've got a guy like Bucko Irving. Here's a true freshman that we're so high on. And he's got an opportunity to now be a starting tailback in the Big Ten. That's why he came here with all the offers that he had. And then Kai Thomas, who's another freshman that people don't even really know much about just yet. We have Cam Wiley and Bryce Williams, and then we have Cole Kramer. But it's an opportunity for our offense to keep changing shape. Unfortunately, that's kind of the way it's been all year, is that when we lost Mohammed, we had to change shape a little bit. We lost Trey, we had to change shape a little bit. We lost Chris Upman Bell, we lost Dalen for a while. We had to change shape. Daniel Jackson's been in and out. We had to change this shape. So it's this constant changing, evolving amoeba that we've got to be able to be creative. And every week it's been a different way of how we're going to be able to win, and a different person being the most productive player. So it's another challenge for us, but the players have handled it very well.
Coach, you mentioned two of those freshmen that are getting playing time right now, especially in that backfield this year. It's Bucko Irving. I guess you changed his name from Bucky?
Well, we don't say Bucky in the building, so we give Bucko his credit, and Mohammed named him Bucko. So
got it.
We couldn't stay with Bucky. His mom's okay with that, so we went with Bucko.
Well, he's been playing really well, as you just saw some of the numbers, averaging 4.5 yards a carry. And then also you mentioned Kai Thomas. He did well in Colorado, averaged more than 9 yards a run in that game. You've also got, as you mentioned, Bryce Williams, who's got a lot of goal line touches this year. It's time for the air to kind of fill that pair and a spare, it looks like. But what have you seen from some of those younger guys who have gotten time, as they now, kind of like you alluded to, can now take that opportunity and run with it? What have they looked like over the last week or so?
Yeah, unfortunately, Glenn Mason said it best: you need a pair and a spare, and then we took it to a different extreme and said a pair and a spare and some air. It sounded great, but there's no way that I want to actually do that. But now we actually have to put that quote into play. But these guys have prepared really hard. There's one group that's really, really connected, probably more than anybody on our football team, and I think it's the running back room. I think Kenny Burns does a great job of coaching his room, and they all love each other. They play for each other so well. They're incredibly connected, and they're selfless. And next guy's going to have to step in and perform. I mean, it's hard to replace Muhammad Ibrahim as an All-American. It's hard to replace Trey, and he was, the second leading rusher in the Big Ten when he got hurt, and he didn't even play much in his first game. So now it's just an opportunity for us to be able to have running back by committee and go with the hot hand and give guys opportunities.
Yeah, Coach, and so when you look at Taron Morgan, his bounce back against Purdue, 3 passes for over 30-plus yards in the rain. And quarterbacks have had these issues before where they might have one game where it doesn't seem great and the media just jumps on it, and then he comes back in this crucial game and makes plays. How does that help him going forward in Big Ten play?
Well, Ron, it's the ultimate response versus reaction. There's a big difference between the two. Reacting is taking the external focus and the external noise and immediately jumping to a conclusion and reacting to it. Responding is knowing exactly who that young man is. I think he's 21-10 or 22-10 as a starter. He's an unbelievable competitive young man. He's won a lot of games here at the University of Minnesota. He's our leader on offense. Everybody's got a standard of how they have to perform. He knows that. But we've had a revolving door in the backfield, a revolving door at wideout. It's hard to get into that flow. It's hard to get into that congruency and that togetherness on offense, because it's all about rhythm, and it's all about getting those people together throughout the week, knowing who you're going to throw to. And just like we did in the running back room, Michael Brown-Stevens has a huge game last week. He's contributed a lot. He's going to have to continue to contribute a lot as we go forward, and he's going to be a really good player. He's only a freshman. So it's having a little bit of that congruency, getting used to the people that you're around. And, again, he's a phenomenal competitor, and I would expect nothing less from him.
Tanner did find that congruency with Michael Brown-Stevens. PJ, you just mentioned it. We just saw some of those highlights against Purdue. What led to those big plays, and what can Michael and even Daniel Jackson, who made some catches as well, mean for you as you reshape the offense, as you mentioned?
Yeah, well, I think it's just consistency. It allows us to be incredibly balanced. And when you become one-dimensional, it's hard to win a lot of football games. And you got to do everything you can not to be one-dimensional. In last week's game, the ability for us we only threw it 18 times, but we threw it down the field at least 8 to 9 times where we stretched the field vertically. And you can hit on half those plays, you're going to have a lot of opportunities to go win games. And, for an explosive offense like Purdue, I think we outplayed them in the explosive play column 5-3, and I think that was the difference in the game.
Coach, there are also reports out there that Curtis Dunlap Jr., a prize recruit from that recruiting class a few years ago, he's going into the transfer portal. Are you at liberty to discuss that? And if so, how does that affect that O-line rotation that you guys have going this year? Because you guys were switching a lot of players in and out of those positions this year.
Well, first of all, I'm not going to comment on guys who actually go into the portal. I wish Curtis nothing but the best. Absolutely love him. But we have a lot of linemen who can be able to go in there and contribute. We have a lot of guys who have played football, started in the Big Ten, and they're going to give us a lot of depth there. The portal is going to be something that is, it's kind of like, I compared it to kind of like buying a car in the first year of a new make and model. They always tell you don't buy a car in the first year of the new make and model because they got to work the kinks out. That was last year. This year, you're going to see a lot more players around the country, in my opinion, entering the transfer portal because it's the second year. Everybody's used to it. Everybody knows it. And it's just going to be a thing in college football that everybody's going to get used to. And, 10 years ago, people are leaving your programs to go, well, what's wrong with it? Sometimes people just need to be able to go back home, need a different opportunity, need a fresh start, those types of things. And the NCAA's provided that opportunity for student athletes. So your student athletes are going to use it more and more and more. And we just have to be ready for it on the player end of leaving here and then also bringing in more transfers as we continue to go through the recruiting cycle.
Well, we've gotten used to seeing your defense play really well, especially over the last 3 games, Coach. I believe they've given up around 9 points per game over the last 3. What did that defense show you going into the bye week that you just like the most to say, this is really working for this team right now?
Well, the ability to be consistent, the ability to keep the ball in front, and then the ability to get takeaways. I mean, you do those things and you limit the explosive plays, you stop the run, and you can get takeaways, you can be a really good defense. I mean, Iowa's proving that right now as the number 2 team in the country with the number 1 defense in the country. With all the takeaways that they're getting, they provide short fields for their offense and score a lot of points. That's the name of the game on defense. And, you know, with our offense, with losing our 4 best playmakers, our defense has to be able to perform better. We have to play togetherness football. We need to play congruent football. And we have to be able to have the ability to play complete games offensively, defensively, and special teams working together.
Yeah, Coach, when you look at Boye Mafe, I mean, he's having a great season. Early on, we talked about, you said the guys were getting there, but they weren't getting the sacks. Now he's gotten 5 sacks in the last 3 games. He's been extremely disruptive, but what have you seen him kind of, embrace the fact that he's not a secret anymore? A lot of people know who he is, and teams are going to make sure he doesn't try to, don't let him get to the quarterback the way he's been doing.
Yeah, well, I think it comes down to the complementary football we're playing on defense, and not just with our offense, defense, and special teams, but the ability for our defensive line to free up the linebackers doing their job to help the secondary doing what they can to keep the top on the coverage. Really complementary football on defense. And, if people are going to focus on Boye Mafe, then Thomas Rush is going to have more sacks. And Sezi Otomewo is going to have more sacks. And, MJ Anderson is going to have more sacks. So the ability for us is we have more depth than we ever had at the defensive line right now. We have a lot of guys that can rush the passer. So if people are going to focus on Boye, it's going to free up other people. Then if people play us straight up, it's going to free Boye. And we got to do everything we can to get him in one-on-one matchups.
In the secondary, what type of experience was the Purdue game for a guy like Justin Wally to go up against those wide receivers, be really tested against those wide receivers, give up a couple of plays, but also make a couple of huge plays as well?
This kid is really special. I mean, he is really special because he has a short memory. I mean, he's like that thing from the Men in Black movie. It's just the next play he forgets already what just happened, but he embraces it, learns from it, and can move on. One of the best qualities you can have as a corner or a DB is the ability to respond, and he has that. He's incredibly confident in his ability. He's a very talented player, and he's going to play a ton of football here, and his best football is ahead of him. I mean, here's a true freshman that just got here that's playing at a high level, and he's so competitive. So he's a confident young man, going to play a lot of football here, and we're thankful he's on our team.
Well, the long stretch of Big Ten play is here for the Gophers, and it begins at home on Saturday against Nebraska. The Huskers have played some big games against some big-time opponents. Still, though, not finding as many wins as they would like, but still a threat that's coming into Huntington Bank Stadium this weekend. We dissect what Nebraska is doing well this season when we return on the PJ-Fleck Show.
Let's row the boat. You're watching the PJ-Fleck Show.
Well, it's back into Big Ten play for the Gophers after their bye week going up against Nebraska. And, Coach, this team has been a good one for your team over the last few years. A tight game last season. And then off the field, I believe the best way to say it is that the programs have some different ways of operating. I believe the word sloganeering was thrown out there from their side earlier this year. You've got the Axe, you got Floyd games. But how much have you felt this matchup against Nebraska kind of as a budding rivalry, especially over the last few years?
And every Big Ten game can be called a rivalry somehow, some way, right? I mean, it's incredibly competitive, the East and the West. It's a parity across the Big Ten is tremendous this year, and it has been for the last few years, in my opinion. But our focus is on my football team. That's where my focus is. That's where our focus is, on our team. And nowhere else. We're going to continue to do what we do. We're going to run our program our way, and that's all we can do. Every head coach in the country runs their program the way they see fit, and doesn't mean one's better or worse or right or wrong. It just means they're going to run their program however they run their program, and we're no different than that.
Yeah, Nebraska. I mean, they almost beat Michigan, and they're coming into this game 3-4. When you're looking at that, what do you see in Nebraska that they've done over the past month or so? When you look at, Michigan State, you look at Oklahoma, and then they're coming in thinking, hey, we should be able to beat Minnesota.
Yeah, I mean, I think every person goes into a game thinking they can win, no matter what team you're in, right? And no matter what team you're on, I should say. But they're a very talented football team. Adrian Martinez is, I think, one of the best athletes in the country, plays quarterback for them. He's played a ton of football, and he's gotten better. This team is a very, very, very talented football team on both sides of the ball. Their defense feels like they've been there forever. It seems like the same defense of personnel that have just gotten better and better and better. And then the offensive side, same thing. They've thrown a lot of triple option in there as well, kind of out of a split zone type look. They've got athletes everywhere. They're big, they're long, they're physical, they're strong. They have depth at every position. So again, this is going to be a tough matchup for us. Always is. We just have to be at our best and be creative enough and find enough ways to move the football and win the football game the best way we possibly can.
And with Martinez specifically, where has he improved, and are they using him differently? You mentioned the triple option. He seems to be running the ball a lot more than in years past.
He is, and it's not necessarily just running the ball on the second play or if a play breaks down or just a quarterback draw like you just see on the screen. They have a lot more design runs for him. I think one of his best plays is his creatability after the first play is over. He's very talented. He's big. He's strong. He's accurate. And he's running the football at a very high level. And they've added that option element. They've always had like a speed option element. Mm-hmm. But get into the split zone option, and it's kind of a little bit like Georgia Southern, and kind of goes back to even Scott Frost's roots and what he's done. I mean, they're very good at what they do. They get the ball in the hands of their playmakers as fast as possible and let them go play. And that's a credit to them.
Yeah, when you look at the red zone, you talked about Martinez and having the ability to pass or run in the option. In the red zone, they scored 21 touchdowns. What makes them so effective, and how does your defense kind of prepare, for that red zone offense?
Well, they're very big up front, and then they have everybody at each position. They've got really good tailbacks. They've got really good tight ends who are big, long, strong. They have a little bit of that, there's so many options of their offense that everything is there almost to deceive you, because if your eyes are in the wrong spot, you're going to be fooled by what they do. And they're very sound in what they do. They know it very well, and they run it at a high level.
Coach, you mentioned Nebraska's defense, very experienced. Last week, they gave up some big run plays to Michigan, but also held the Wolverines to field goals whenever he got into some of those crunch time situations. Also forced some turnovers, too, this season. What really jumps out about their defense, aside from just their experience that they're bringing to the table this year?
They're sound, and they make you earn everything that you get. Their secondary's big, long, physical. They can cover. They can hit. They do a great job in run support. The defensive line is incredibly big, long, strong, same thing. I mean, they are a very good-looking football team. When you look at them across the board, and they've made a lot more plays than they have. Their eyes are in the backfield. They're able to get more interceptions and more takeaways. So a very, very talented defense.
All right, still much more to come with Coach Fleck heading into this week's game against the Huskers. Stay tuned. You're watching the PJ Fleck Show right here on Fox 9.
Back to the PJ Fleck Show. Let's row the boat.
Well, Coach Taron Morgan had a great game against Purdue, made some great plays, but maybe his best move of the season came during the bye week. Tanner getting engaged to his now fiancée Sarah, showing off some of the pictures on Instagram on Sunday. Coach, you talk about building great players, but even better men beyond football. Just how excited are you to see Tanner take this step in his life?
I'm really happy for him and Sarah. They're a special couple. Their relationship's based on faith and their spiritual life. And, I know that this was a big step for him, and I'm glad that his dad got to meet Sarah. And I still remember talking to his dad when him and Sarah started dating, and his dad Ted's like, this is the one. And he was right. So I'm very excited for him. These two are both people that when they know what they want, they know what they want. And I'm very happy for them. Heather and I couldn't be more happy. We showed him the exact picture in the team meeting room, and players were really excited for him, and just really proud of him.
Well, Coach, I was able to go to unrl.co and get one of these Roll the Boat hoodies. And you and Heather, 14%, almost 15% of these, the proceeds go to your Fleck Family Fund. What does that mean to you to have partnerships with companies like that are willing to partner with you to help, further on the Masonic Children's Hospital and the Ronald McDonald House?
Yeah, I think people really need to understand, and they do, that, Heather and I don't make money off of Row the Boat. You know, this is strictly for the Children's Hospital, and it's for our community to really be involved more than just football. Even if you don't like football, even if you don't want to come to football games, you can participate what Row the Boat lifestyle is all about, that never give up lifestyle. You know, having energy and sacrifice and serving and giving and getting yourself around the right people. So it's huge to have partnerships like that. I know Heather works really hard in that. I think there's a lot of things that are limited for me to have all those things because of certain university contracts with Nike and everything else. But, you know, Heather does a great job of partnering with so many different people. And what I love about the companies that she partners with is it's all about philanthropy. You know, it's all about helping someone else. And Ron, we just appreciate you being a part of that partnership. And, you know, they do a really good job, and it all comes down to Heather. I mean, she's a connector of people. She loves the Children's Hospital and Masonic. She loves Ronald McDonald House. She loves the people she comes in contact with, and she just wants to make a difference in the community. And one thing we love about being here is that we feel at home, and that's a credit to Heather and our community and our university and our players. But we feel at home, like you can make a living, or you can make a life. And it's really fun to be in a place where you can truly make a life, and that's what it's all about. So, Ron, appreciate everything you're doing, and just appreciate everybody who's helping out the cause and raising money for those children over there at Masonic Children's Hospital here at the University of Minnesota. So, thank you to everybody out there.
In our final minute, Coach, before Ron starts modeling more things, I'm sure there's probably another unveiling coming. We got to talk about your special teams.
That's a good look, by the way, though.
So
not
good.
many can pull off the hooded sweatshirt with a blazer over it. I've never seen that, and I love it.
Now you have 30 seconds because now he looks good. But let's talk about your special teams real quick. They were phenomenal against Purdue. Your punter and your place kicker were tremendous.
That was really the name of the game. They were 2 for 3 on field goals. We were 2 for 2. Our punter averaged 51 yards a punt. Mark Crawford in really poor conditions, and it really changed the game. We made Purdue go 80 yards if they were going to have to score, and then held them to field goals. And I thought our field block team did a great job as well. So special teams was truly that bridge of playing that complimentary game last week.
All right, much more to come this weekend, too, on the Gopher pregame show. Things kick off at Fox 9 at 9 a.m. before the Gophers take on the Huskers. Coach, as always, thank you for the time.
Row the boat, Scotty, go Gophers.